Something happens to women when they hit 40 that nobody wants to talk about. One day she's making breakfast for the kids, folding laundry, planning family vacations. The next day she's downloading dating apps, buying lingerie, and texting some guy from the gym. And you're standing there wondering what the hell just happened to your wife. It's happening everywhere. Millions of men are seeing their steady, dependable wives transform into teenagers with wrinkles. And the worst part, everyone acts surprised when it happens, like we didn't see the warning signs written in her biology years ago. You think you know your woman? You think because she's been with you for 15 years, raised your kids, built a life together, that she's somehow immune to what's coming. Brother, you're living in a fantasy. There's a ticking time bomb in every woman's psychology, and it goes off somewhere between 35 and 45. Not might go off. Will go off. The only question is how much damage it does when it explodes. Men often fail to realize that when a woman hits 40, she isn't the same person you married. I'm not talking about maturity or wisdom or any of that nonsense. I'm talking about a fundamental rewiring of her brain chemistry, her priorities, her entire sense of self. The woman who was perfectly content being a mother and wife at 30 becomes desperately hungry for validation at 40, and that hunger makes her do things that destroy everything you've built together. You see, yes, every woman's self-worth is built on a foundation of sand, her looks. From the moment she's born, society tells her that her value equals her beauty. Be pretty, be desirable, be wanted. That's the programming. And for 20 years, from 15 to 35, this program runs perfectly. Men chase her. Compliments flow freely. She feels valuable. Then biology does what biology always does. It takes away what it gave. At 40, she looks in the mirror and sees a stranger. Not because she looks terrible, but because she looks different. The face that launched 1,000 ships now struggles to turn a single head. The body that made men stupid now gets polite smiles at best. And this isn't about vanity. This is about identity collapse. Her entire sense of self was built on being desired, and now that desire is evaporating like morning dew. Think about it like this. Imagine you're a professional athlete. Your whole identity, your self-worth, everything is tied to your physical performance. Then age catches up. You're not terrible, but you're not what you were. You can't do what you used to do. Now multiply that psychological crisis by 10, and you'll understand what's happening in your wife's head when she realizes her beauty is fading. But here's where it gets dangerous. Instead of accepting this natural process, instead of gracefully transitioning into a new phase of life, modern women panic. They rage against reality. They declare war on time itself. And the first casualty in this war? Your marriage. At 22, a compliment is background noise. She rolls her eyes. Yeah, whatever, I know I'm hot. But when a 42-year-old gets that same compliment, her brain explodes with dopamine. Finally, proof she still got it. Validation that she's not invisible. That single compliment from a stranger becomes more valuable than 10 years of your devotion. Why? Because your devotion is obligated. His attention is chosen. This is the dirty secret nobody tells you. Married women over 40 are the easiest targets for seduction. Not because they're bad people, but because they're starving for something you can't give them anymore. The thrill of being chosen by someone who doesn't have to choose them. Your attention doesn't count because you're locked in. You're married. You have kids together. What are you going to do? Not find your wife attractive? But that random guy at the coffee shop who smiles at her? That's pure validation. That's proof she's still in the game. And once she gets that first taste of outside validation, it's over. Not immediately, but inevitably. Because now she knows what she's been missing. Now she remembers what it felt like to be pursued, to be desired, to be someone's fantasy instead of someone's reality. And that memory becomes an itch that your stable, predictable love can never scratch. You want to know the exact moment your marriage enters the danger zone? It's when she starts talking about her past with a smile instead of embarrassment. When she mentions her ex-boyfriends not with disgust but with nostalgia. When she tells stories about her single days with sparkling eyes instead of relief that they're over. That's when you know the countdown has begun. Here's the brutal biology lesson they don't teach in school. A woman's brain literally rewires itself as she ages. The chemical reward system that made her feel alive at 25, by 45 it's running on fumes. What used to flood her with pleasure hormones now barely creates a ripple. Think about it. At 20, holding hands made her heart race. At 40, she needs an emotional earthquake just to feel a tremor. Her neurological pathways have changed so drastically that your romantic dinner feels like watching paint dry, that weekend getaway you planned. Her brain processes it as routine maintenance. Those intimate moments you've perfected over years, they register like background noise. She needs increasingly extreme stimulation to feel anything at all. And you, my friend, are the opposite of extreme. You're comfortable, you're safe, you're neurologically invisible. This is why women's most vicious betrayals happen after 35. Not because they're evil, but because they're desperate. Desperate to feel alive again. Desperate to matter. Desperate to be more than someone's aging wife. The same woman who would have been satisfied holding hands at 20 needs a full emotional affair at 40 just to feel a spark. The same woman who was loyal for 15 years suddenly becomes capable of cruelties you couldn't imagine. I've seen it countless times. The devoted mother of 3 who runs off with her personal trainer. The church-going wife who starts an affair with her husband's best friend. The perfect woman who blows up her entire life for some guy she met online. And every time, the husband says the same thing. I never saw it coming. Really? You never noticed her staring at herself in the mirror with disgust? You never saw her light up when strange men noticed her? You never felt her pulling away emotionally while going through the motions physically? The signs are always there, but men are blind to them. It starts with nostalgia. She begins romanticizing her past, talking about her wild years with a sparkle that wasn't there before. Old photos get pulled out. Stories about ex-boyfriends shift from embarrassment to wistful remembering. She's not living in the present anymore. She's mourning a past that's gone. Then come the new friends, specifically divorced women who've found themselves. These aren't friends, they're dealers pushing a drug called You Deserve Better. They gather for wine nights that are really grievance sessions, comparing notes on how oppressed they were, how much happier they are now. Your stable marriage gets reframed as a prison through their poisonous lens. Social media becomes her new reality. Hours scrolling through carefully curated lives, comparing her behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. The algorithm learns what she wants to see: transformation stories, brave women starting over, love after 40. Every scroll confirms what her panicking brain wants to believe. Everyone else is living better, and it's not too late to join them. The physical changes come in waves. First, it's subtle maintenance, new skincare routines, hair treatments, procedures she swore she'd never do. Then escalation, drastic diets, obsessive exercise, clothes that belong in her daughter's closet. She's not trying to look good, she's trying to look young. There's desperation in every purchase, every workout, every selfie angle she practices in the mirror. Finally, the emotional withdrawal. She needs space, me time, mysterious commitments that didn't exist before. She's either picking fights constantly or eerily pleasant. Both are bad signs. One means she's building a case against you. The other means she's managing guilt about what she's already doing or planning to do. You know what really infuriates me? Society encourages this destruction. Every magazine, every talk show, every therapist tells her she deserves to be happy. She needs to find herself. She should never settle. They validate her panic, encourage her rebellion, celebrate her destruction of the family. They tell her that her feelings matter more than her commitments. Her happiness matters more than her children's stability. Her desires matter more than the devastation she causes. Nobody tells her the truth, that beauty fades for everyone, that attention is a drug you need to quit, that building something lasting matters more than chasing something fleeting. Nobody tells her that the excitement she's chasing is just brain chemistry, not meaning. That the butterflies she misses are just anxiety, not love. That the passion she craves is just novelty, not depth. Instead, they pump her full of empowerment nonsense. You go, girl, live your truth, follow your heart. As if a 40-year-old woman following her hormones is any different than a 16-year-old boy following his. Both are slaves to biology, both make terrible decisions, both destroy everything for a temporary high. And you? You're expected to understand, to be supportive, to give her space, to work on yourself. as if any amount of working on yourself can compete with the thrill of being desired by someone new. You could become the perfect husband tomorrow, and it wouldn't matter. Because perfect is predictable, and predictable doesn't release dopamine. Another truth nobody wants to admit: the role of her friends in tearing it all down. You know those divorced friends she hangs out with? Those empowered women who left their husbands and are now living their best life? They're not her friends, they're her dealers. They feed her poison disguised as wisdom. You deserve better. Life's too short. You only live once. They're pushing her toward the cliff because they need company at the bottom. They need validation that they made the right choice, and nothing validates a bad decision like watching someone else make the same one. Watch what happens when your wife starts spending more time with divorced women. Suddenly every normal marital issue becomes abuse. Every routine becomes oppression. Every responsibility becomes sacrifice. These women reframe her entire life through the lens of victimhood. Your normal, stable marriage becomes a prison she needs to escape. Your reasonable expectations become unreasonable demands. Your decade of support becomes a decade of suppression. And social media, that's like throwing gasoline on a bonfire. She's not comparing her marriage to other marriages. She's comparing her real life to digital fantasies, filtered photos, and carefully crafted lies. The algorithm becomes her therapist, feeding her exactly what her panicking brain wants to hear: that leaving is brave, staying is settling, and happiness is just one dramatic decision away. The reality she doesn't see is the aftermath. They don't show the woman 6 months later, after the new boyfriend turned out to be just another flawed human. They don't show her spending Christmas alone because the kids chose to stay with dad. They don't show her realizing that starting over at 40 isn't liberating, it's exhausting. They don't show her understanding that she traded a deep connection for shallow attention, a real partnership for a temporary high. You see, yes, men age completely differently psychologically. When a man hits 40,